What's going on here, guys? Figured I'd just demonstrate the system again and show the negative resistance effect. I have a lot of people getting angry with me, telling me that negative resistance and dielectricity isn't even possible or doesn't exist. That's completely false. A lot of the old books the electrical masters wrote, especially the Theory of Electricity by Steinmetz and a lot of his works, absolutely talk about dielectricity. And anyway, electricity absolutely is a metaphysical phenomenon. Has no mass as it travels through conductors, but the conductors will attract or repel each other based on the type of energy flowing through the wires. And here is the negative resistance phenomenon on the oscilloscope. The second wave is slightly bigger than the first, and the entire system is earth grounded in one spot to increase the wireless power effects. We can clearly see that goes to my heater. You can see that connecting to my heater. I'll zoom in on that. Connects to my heater right there. So there can be no one complaining they can't see what's going on. The one external connection is the earth ground. And any radio operator knows that you can have the best radio equipment in the world, and if you don't earth ground it, it's virtually useless. So, this is an open, high-frequency, magnetic resonant wireless power system. And right now, it is in self-sustaining mode, meaning I have to disconnect the oscilloscope because it actually slightly detunes the circuit. This is how sensitive it is. Now that I disconnected the oscilloscope, we will see that the system recharges itself. And it's recharging the source battery right here. I mean, this is the source supercap, which is a 14-volt DC supercapacitor. And we now see that it recharges itself. The voltage will virtually never drop. It won't ever drop below 13.20. And then what we would then do is power up an inverter off of this, run a 120 or 240 volt AC inverter for a time. And this was a breakthrough. This was the most successful design yet, focusing on the negative resistance. That's our amperage draw in the system right there. I put this little piece of cardboard here to stop anything from shorting out on the metal plate. When the negative resistance occurs, we have phenomenal wireless power to the point where it looks magical. And I will take this little stick, this receiver stick that has an LED light on the end, and it will light just from bringing it near the system. This is how sensitive it is now. This is how in tune everything is. And when these effects occur, there is no form of power drain or draw on the source, and the reason for that is because it's an open system in resonance, and we have negative resistance. And for those who don't know, an unlimited amount of people can tune into a radio station or tune into that signal without bogging down the radio station, as long as they're resonantly tuned to that station and earth grounded. The original radio stations were crystal radios, meaning they had no batteries. The radios were powered by the signal itself, and you could even extract small amounts of power from that radio signal. And that's what the Moray valve was, the energy machine of Thomas Henry Moray, but no one knows how to reproduce it or what his tuning mechanisms were. But anyway, I showed you the power of negative resistance and resonance. This is literally just a coil. You can't argue there's anything hidden in the coil. This is a little light, little LED light, quite a power-hungry LED light, and it will light just by me bringing it near the circuitry. And for those saying this is a perpetual motion machine, it is not. There is a huge difference between a energy harvesting machine that's an open system using magnetic resonance that's solid state versus a closed linear machine that has moving parts. A closed machine with moving parts will never work unless it has external input. This is an open, resonant, magnetic wireless power system. It is not a perpetual motion machine. As you see, our battery doesn't really want to drain below 13.2423, and I keep calling that a battery when it's a super cap. So you're seeing it right here. Give you a full look around everything. Can be no complaints. Don't want to bump anything. Anyway, full look around everything. Look under the desk. This is a major breakthrough. This was an upgrade to the system. I'm going to implement this upgrade to the ringer generator boards that will ship out soon. Because I, again, had this major breakthrough with negative resistance, and it got a lot simpler. And I'm going to implement this design on the ringer generator board prototype that people get. And that's close to shipping out. All ringer generator boards should ship out in less than 2 weeks. And all members who bought one, you have my deep thanks, and you have a $100 discount on any of our existing products or future products for buying the ringer generator board. It's going to look similar to this. It'll be a lot neater. It'll be on a much bigger board. And it will, depending on how heavy you earth ground it at that spot, it will basically run itself indefinitely, while also producing phenomenal wireless power. And yeah, there's the charge on that super cap. It's just not dropping. And there's our power draw. A little over 1/2 amp. And yeah, this looks a little messy because it's my test platform. I'm constantly taking things apart, moving it, playing with it. And I clearly showed the negative resistance phenomenon on the oscilloscope, but I can't leave the oscilloscope hooked up to the circuit because it detunes it and causes the power to slowly drop. That's how sensitive this stuff is. And again, our phenomenal wireless power effects. And I can even run a motor from this thing wirelessly, just by bringing it near certain spots in the circuit. There's little hot spots where the energy will focus. Here's one of them, really focused right here. And that kind of clearly demonstrates the right-hand rule. You see that? Look how bright that is. And I'll hook a motor to that. This kind of stuff really hurts the trolls' heads. This motor's going to take off now. If I can make the contacts correctly. And I'm filming one-handed. That, I might have blown that motor. Something weird is occurring. But I had that motor running in my past videos. Yeah, something's wrong. But, I had that motor running in my past videos. Anyway, we can see the power is clearly there. Can run an LED, no problem. This is a 1 watt LED. And you can get that just about full intensity just by putting it in a special spot within the circuit. That's bright. And again, completely wireless. Nobody can argue that. Our charge has not dropped in any way. We are locked at our charge. I'll just show you that charge. We still got wireless power. And I will disconnect the feedback mechanism in the circuit and show you that our charge gets lower. But before I do that, again, I'll give you a quick look around everything. There's absolutely nothing under this desk. Nothing under any of the desks. This is the whole system. I don't even have power up here except for the circuit. Except for the input to the circuit, which is that super cap. Again, there it is, locked, steady, 13.24. We get the idea. It can run itself indefinitely. Should I keep the video going to 20 minutes? Perhaps, I'm not sure. And it will fluctuate between 13.24 and 13.23 volts. It won't ever reach 13.20. The only reason it dipped a little is because I brought this thing near it, probably in the wrong spot. That slightly drained some power, but it'll lock steady again at 13.24. And anyway, I'll disconnect the feedback mechanism, because what's occurring is our wireless power we're harvesting is feeding back into the source supercap. So I'll disconnect our energy harvesting part right here, and we'll see that we immediately start dropping in charge, because I disconnected the energy harvesting part. And then I'll reconnect the energy harvesting part, and our charge will go back up. And again, the wireless power effects with this thing are phenomenal. Can touch it to any metal object within 50 feet of this device, and this thing will light. And if you separately earth ground these little things, they'll all light without draining the input. And again, for those who doubt this system is producing all this wireless power, I'll disconnect the system. There's a little off switch here. Off. Wireless power is out. It's dead. So you can't say I haven't hidden anything anywhere. It's completely dead. I'm actually not sure why that's dimly lit when the switch is off. Oh, you know why? There might be a charge built up in the wireless capacitors here. But anyway, our charge is dead. And I notice sometimes the system wants to go into a very small form of self-oscillation when you have a very heavy earth ground here. That can be demonstrated on the oscilloscope. The system is completely switched off. And should be able to see that on the scope right there. It wants to be in a very small form of self-oscillation. And I believe it's sucking in parasitic capacitance from the AC mains somehow, which is weird. It's somehow sucking in a very small ground current from the mains, even though we're isolated from mains on an earth ground system. It's somehow sucking in stray ground currents, but fueling its self-oscillation. But anyway, I'll throw the switch again, turn it on. We'll see the wireless power come on in full force. I want this angled right so you can see it. Put that right here, throw the switch. There we go. And you see this thing is so sensitive, the scope can even pick it up far away. We're not even physically connected to the system, and the scope is picking it up. And the negative resistance effect is phenomenal with this circuit. So, and again, there's our charge on the input. We're actually slowly gaining charge. So, this thing has been going on, this video has been going on for how long now? I think I'll keep it for a while, just to shut the skeptics up. And again, this scope isn't even physically connected in any way to the circuit. It's just near the circuit, and it can pick up what it's giving off. I just don't want this too close, it could mess with the tuning. This thing is highly sensitive to tuning. And again, what you would essentially do is connect an AC inverter to this super cap, with a power switch. And this doesn't have to be a super cap. You could use any 14 volt DC source here. It could be a super cap, a battery, whatever you want, and the system would self-sustain itself from the external ground connection and the wireless power harvested from the pickups. The system self-sustains itself, recharges its input, and then when your input is just about fully charged, you run your inverter to run the power you want, and then you shut the inverter off, preferably with a disconnect switch, because inverters draw power even when they're off, and this thing is highly sensitive. You'd then switch the inverter off with a disconnect switch, and the system would begin to slowly recharge itself, depending on how heavy you have an earth ground connection here. The heavier you make that earth ground connection here, the better the system will operate. And like I said, anyone who was involved with ham radio, which ham radio is dead, almost dead now, will tell you can have the best radio gear on the planet, but if you don't properly earth ground it, it won't work. So that fully explains it. People who doubt it are completely in the wrong, don't understand radio physics. I'm showing you how it works, demonstrating the system. Open, magnetic, resonant, wireless radio energy harvesting system with negative resistance, an open system. It is not a closed system or a mechanical system that's perpetual motion. Completely incorrect. People who say that are idiots in perpetuating false information. This is not a perpetual motion machine. It has no moving parts. You wouldn't call a solar panel a perpetual motion machine. It is a solid state energy harvesting device. And again, this is our earth ground connection right here. Goes to the heater. Zoom in on it. Goes to my heater. And the wireless power is even heavily present on my heater. We have heavily circulating ground currents with this thing. As you can see, I touch this little light to my heater and it lights up. So any skeptic in the world can build this system, can debate me, anything. They will get crushed, destroyed, owned if they properly build this system and see its effects. So bring it on, I dare you. We can build this system and demonstrate it off all day long. And it will send the people who ultimately believe in incorrect physics back home crying. So that's the system. Very impressive. Always fluctuates between 13.23, 24, 25. Again, the thing is highly sensitive to tuning, so show that off. We're almost at the 20-minute mark. I don't like making videos too long. We'll just see what it does if it locks again at 13.24, which it should. Certain factors in the environment will affect its tuning. But yeah, it kind of gets boring staring at meters all day. And this is the design that will be on the new generator boards. Again, there was a breakthrough. So all that wireless power that can be harvested and used for whatever you want. Again, here's the wireless here's a good look at it if you want a good look at it. Very special diodes that make it possible with resonant caps. Get it in the right spot, it will light very bright. I noticed if you touch the matte glass ferrite, it gets bright too. Very interesting. So I'm demonstrating to you the power of negative resistance and resonance. Really likes this hot spot right here. Highly sensitive circuitry. Highly highly sensitive. We'll see what our input charge is doing. And we'll see if it locks steady at 13.24 and holds. See if I can adjust it just a little bit to get it to lock steady. As the day goes on, sometimes you'll have to make micro adjustments to the system. And yeah, you see it fighting, it just wants to stay at 13.24. So, I hope that video explains everything, and you guys get a good idea of how it works. This video is going on long enough. I know people don't like watching long videos, so hope that demonstrates everything, and silences a lot of angry people for some reason that don't really believe in simple electrical physics. I'm not sure why so many people were sending me a lot of spam mail just saying that there's no way this thing can work. Well, the same principles behind this are in radio, so and again, I'll disconnect the system entirely. I'll shut it off. System is off. We can't see the charge because of the way the meter's connected through the switch. Our wireless power effects are dead because the system is off. Oscilloscope isn't displaying anything. Again, I'll switch the system on. Wireless power effects come on. Our charge is at, yeah, see that? And the system also somehow seems to be in a very small self-oscillation mode when you very heavily earth ground it. As you see, I'll switch it off. We're off. And there's a small amount of wireless power present here that it somehow is siphoning from the mains when it's very heavy earth grounded. I'm not sure how. You can literally bury a metal plate in the ground, heavily earth it, and somehow this system will extract stray ground currents from the mains, because I did hear a rumor that a lot of new mains installations are being set up wrong that create a lot of circulating ground currents, as stated by Eric Dollard. But then again, that's kind of off topic, but the system is ultimately an energy harvesting machine, and I'm displaying that. It's just about nearly goes into self-oscillation. And again, turned it on, there's the charge level. So yeah. And then what you do now is you grab yourself your inverter here. Get the packaging crap off it. You then connect your inverter up. You run, in this case, we'll power up my favorite light. That's how it looks. Power up my favorite light. And yeah, that light is being run off the source supercap. So yeah, this is how you would use the system. And again, that inverter would be on a generator board. So I'm demonstrating to you how the system works. And the phenomenal wireless power effects are still present, even in the inverter. To the point where it hurts your eyes. Resonant wireless capture power system. There's the power we're consuming. I believe it's less than 5 watts. It's an LED. We can also use a 40-watt light bulb. Not exactly sure what this is stuck on. Come on. There we go. I also have a basement workshop too, where I build things. So again, I'll hook a 40-watt incandescent up. Now we're really demonstrating how the system works. We take the extra charge it builds up in the source from negative resistance and energy harvesting, and we run an inverter off of it. 120 volt or 240 volt AC. 40 watt output. And that's my favorite quote. This is kind of going to be like a video diary series. Maybe the video will be long. Your lunch could have been free too. Take a little magnetic field detector. This thing is just going nuts all around the area, because we're creating a very high amount of resonance. In fact, there's so much here it probably can't even detect it till you pull back. Yeah. So if you put a receiver coil in this area, it would light. So there's a very intense amount of power right here, and that can be shown with this little pickup. So the energy gets focused as it bounces around through the air in different mediums. So if anyone thinks this technology is fake in any way, feel free to replicate it. I give full details on my Patreon. If you doubt it in any way, build it for yourself and test it, if you have the means and finances to. My setup just looks a little messy because it's the test platform. I'm constantly changing things, taking it apart. And I'm sure there's even stuff going on in the oscilloscope. And anyway, after you run your inverter for a bit, your load, you charge your phone, you run your lights, you do whatever. As you see, we're draining that source super cap. We would then shut it off and then disconnect it to avoid detuning. In fact, I'm going to disconnect even the wires, because the wires can cause detuning, just having them connected. That's how sensitive the system is. We'll move the inverter over here, and we will see the system begin to recharge itself. So, the fact it's still consuming power to run itself, as you see right here on the amp meter, it shouldn't even be recharging itself, but like I said, that's the way the system's operating in self-sustaining mode. So this video's gone on very long, but it's to explain some things and silence a lot of the skeptics. And again, we got that just phenomenal wireless power present. So yeah, and like I said, you can literally light up an unlimited amount of these if you separately earth ground these through a capacitor. With just a stray alligator clip, you would just solder a little capacitor off of this and connect an alligator clip off the capacitor to earth ground, and you separately earth ground each one. Literally just solder a capacitor coming off this thing, off the end in series, and then connect it to earth, and you can light up an unlimited amount of these. I'm not joking. So we're seeing it recharge itself before our eyes. It'll probably hit 2.2, 2.3, and 2.4 within 10 minutes. And the voltage and power coming off of all those pickups, I didn't measure it yet through the proper resistor. I have to get those, but if I measure the combined feedback power from the wireless pickups, the dead short circuit current is 2.6 amps, and the output is 82 volts DC open circuit. Under resistive load, it's about a 10 watt output, and when it's running a 10 watt output and the negative resistance effect kicks in, which it does on this system, our input will drop. So again, the output of the system is, of all the wireless pickups, the open circuit DC voltage is 82 to 84 volts, and dead short circuit current is 2.4 to 2.6 amps. Kind of varies a bit. And I send that power back into the input source, the DC supercap. So we see it's recharging itself, no problem. It's all about tuning. The system is highly sensitive. Even leaving the inverter connected to this system but turned off can cause a slight detuning and cause it to either charge really slow or not at all. So again, this was the breakthrough made. This model is now going to be on the new generator boards that people are getting. It's going to look neat on a nice little square platform. And I'm pretty sure I'll include a small solar panel on it so it can do completely off-grid applications in case you ever run the system too low and you don't have an ability to start it. That small solar panel will charge your source up just enough to start the system. I'm thinking maybe a 5-watt solar panel as well. Can't go wrong with that. So I'm demonstrating the system, how it works. It'll probably say 13.23 soon, nearly back to our starting point. And for all of you who don't know, this shouldn't even be possible with a traditional setup. We're just about back to full charge. In fact, I'll even disconnect the system. And as you see, the system is completely disconnected. We are not consuming power. And we virtually used no power to run this system. All the energy just gets cycled back into it. That is the end charge on our input source. Over 30 minutes of it running itself and running an inverter a little bit. Again, I'll connect it now. We're now running. We're now consuming power. The system is hooked up. Again, we have the wireless power. And this is the raw output from the feedback circuitry. This is what recharges the input. This is all the accumulated power from the feedback circuitry. This is what's keeping the source recharged. High amperage sparks. And it recharges quick too. And as you see, without it connected, we drop. We're dropping without it connected. And again, I connect it. Starts to do that feedback and we recharge. And again, why not make this video long? I'll hook up the inverter because we're already pretty much charged up again. And you really don't want to, this system is really only designed to output 40 to 50 watts ideally. You don't want to train more than that. think I shorted something out. Shit. What did I do? May have broke something. Oh, no, we're back on. What the hell shorted out? No, that's not shorted. That's not shorted. Alright, we should be okay. No, something weird happened. Huh. Don't exactly know what's occurring here. Well, something very weird is going on. I'll disconnect the loads. Maybe something shorted out. And again, we're watching this live as I do this. It's kind of like a video documentary series. Alright, there's a strange problem occurring. This is weird. What the heck happened? There's a short in the inverter somehow? Yeah, something weird's occurring. No idea what the hell just happened. Alright, well I'm going to probably have to get a different inverter. Something weird's going on. I connect my inverter and the system just decides to suddenly short out, which is very odd. So there's probably an issue with the inverter, which was literally just working not too long ago. And there's our charge that keeps building up. So anyway, I'm gonna have to move some things further away. It's interfering with the system. So we can see that. I'm gonna end the video. It's gone on for a while. You guys get the idea. System pretty much runs itself. Got all that wireless power. This inverter's been through hell and back. I'm not surprised it blew. Something weird in it happened. So that's that. And our charge is virtually at where we left it before running the inverter, which did 40 watts for like less than a minute for a demonstration. So either way, it shouldn't even be possible. This thing keeps recharging itself, but yet it does. And it all has to do with that heavy earth connection. There's our power consumption on the amp meter. Most sources don't continue to recharge themselves while you're drawing power from it, so I'm showing that off. And I'm about to run out of memory on my phone, and I'll end the video here by switching the device off. Wireless power effects have ceased unless you literally touch it, because there's that small siphoning effect that occurs when you heavy earth ground it. And this has to be a separate earth ground from mains. It has to be a very heavy earth ground, not connected to the electrical grid in any way, and you still get all these effects. So that's that, and thank you everybody for watching. Hope this video answered some questions. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, join the Patreon, even if it's for free. We have an archive of ancient electrical knowledge written by the masters: Tesla, Steinmetz, Heaviside, Maxwell, all the experts. You don't really want to follow anything by Einstein except his theory of relativity. Einstein never really made any major inventions to the world. He mostly stole his work from Henri Poincaré. So that's that.